My name is Aubree Reuchel. I live in Fort Wayne.
Okay. And are you a new ultra runner, or have you been running for a while?
I've been running for a while, but this was my first 50-mile distance. I'd done a 50K about 3 years ago and did a few road marathons between there.
So this is where we start. What were you thinking when you were in that parade of lights?
I was just letting loose of just trying to find a comfortable pace and just trying to rely on my training and all my preparation and kind of hoping it would pay off.
So when you were standing around people, did you hear encouraging words, or did you hear people kind of really nervous, and did that affect you?
It didn't really affect me because I knew a whole bunch of people that were starting doing the 50, the 100, the 100Kers had already started, so we'd seen them off, and it was just really encouraging going down the first mile or so and having people I knew around me.
So did you have a set plan going into?
My plan was mostly geared around nutrition, and I kind of based it off of that, having S-caps and gels and aid stations, so I never went more than 45 minutes without having to concentrate on something else.
How would you describe the course?
I like this course because it's very runnable. The trail maintenance is very good, and you can easily, with training, run the whole thing. There's no super technical bits. It's not very rocky, so in that case I would say it's easy compared to some of the courses that I've heard other people run in mountains with huge climbs and rocks and very technical bits, but this doesn't have that.
Did you have one particular problem this year? Do you have like a biggest problem?
I started to have different aches and pains towards mile 20 to 30 that I'd never experienced before. There was a pain in the front of my ankle. Every so often my Achilles would flare up, but it wasn't anything that was debilitating during the race. I just kind of talked myself over it, kind of yelled at my body parts, just ankle, stop that. And
did you ever consider dropping?
I did not.
Not even for a moment?
No.
You had made up your mind before that wasn't even an option?
I was not going to DNF. I was finishing this.
Okay. What's it like running this course at night?
The little bit that we had in the morning would be the closest thing to night that we had. Was about half an hour before it started to lighten up. I chose not to have a headlamp and just rely on the lamps around people around me since the start was pretty crowded, but you can get, it's deceptive how far you can go in a short amount of time, but at the same time you know when it gets dark that you'll slow down naturally and become a little more cautious.
Yeah. And volunteers and aid stations, what's your first thought briefly?
Friends.
Yeah.
Every aid station I knew people, and even if I didn't, they were always willing to help. Out at Raleigh, one of the volunteers lent me a jacket when a friend dropped one off and I couldn't find mine. She literally gave me the jacket off her back.
Did you learn something at this particular race?
I learned that heading into a race with the training that I had, to just trust in my training and trust in my preparation, because I was probably more nervous at the beginning of the week leading up to the race than I was on race day.
Good.
And by the time I got to race day, there was no point in worrying, no point in stressing, because it was going to happen.
Why do you run the Indiana Trail? What's it about this race?
I've been coming up to Channel Lakes for a few years, and so it's just kind of nice to run on the home course with crew that I know, even though they're just volunteers. It's like you go into an aid station and you know everybody, and they're so encouraging, and everybody's just trying to help everybody else succeed.
You may not know every inch, but you are very familiar with it.
And I think that helps a lot going in and knowing where to walk, where to plan nutrition breaks, knowing how far it is from aid station to aid station, and knowing where you're going to see people and certain landmarks on the course.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about this year's race?
I think the biggest thing that I've come away with was great things happen when you surround yourself with great people, and that's exactly what the Indiana Trail 100 has done. They have chosen, or the race director in himself is a great person, and he has volunteers that are equally as great, and it just helps everybody else succeed.